I thought I told him to spray it with water to retain moisture before applying the film. You can't treat a glaze lily like a cactus. If Sanjay does this again, the loss will have to come—
I'll go talk to him. At this rate, he won't even be able to afford eating
Hey, Tighnari!
Oh, it's you two. It's been—
We didn't have anything to do, and this place looked pretty lively, so we decided to stop by. But,
Well, Port Ormos is currently organizing a flower exhibition featuring flowers and plants. The exhibition includes flowers from every corner of the world, each with their own unique properties and needs. With that in mind, the curator commissioned a flower pot from Kasharawar, capable of— Even so, an expert is still required to develop tailored transportation and care plans for each—
Oh, and that expert is you!
Not this time, no. I'm just here to help out. The expert in charge is someone else.
Mr. Tighnari! Sanjay! He confused the poisonous bulbs with garlic shoots!
Never mind. Forget about what I said about the food expense. Apologies, Traveler, Paimon. Looks like I've got something to take care of.
Tighnari's busy no matter where he is, huh? Yeah, seems like it. Hey, don't look at Paimon like that! Paimon is super careful about what she eats. Well, looks like Tighnari might be busy for a while. Let's take a look around the port and Wow, look at these flowers! They smell so...
Huh?
Paimon's... fine. She's just got a little...
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilia.
It's getting worse. But, I was fine just a moment ago. She didn't even eat anything weird.
A moment of your time, you two? If it's not too much trouble, perhaps you could try this incense.
Incense? Oh, the scent is so nice! Whoa, that was fast! Paimon doesn't have to sneeze anymore!
Think nothing of it. From your attire, I imagine you two aren't from Sumeru either. Seeing as we're both travelers from abroad, it's only right that we help each other out should the occasion arise.
Oh, so you're here for the flower exhibition too?
I suppose that's accurate.
Oh, Paimon is Paimon! Thank you so much for your help just now. Oh, and this is...
The Traveler, right? I've heard a lot about you from the Steambird. It's nice to finally put a face to the name.
What happened back there? Why did Paimon start sneaking?
Have you ever heard of hay fever? To put it simply, when inhaled, certain pollens can trigger
But Paimon has seen these kinds of...
Well, we're all different. The factors that can trigger a reaction to certain stimuli vary by person. In isolation, the effects, but there's no need to worry. Pollen allergies can be effectively mitigated with the...
Oh, well, that's...
Traveler! Paimon! There you are. I left in such a hurry, I forgot to warn you about all the pollen in the air. Emily? Ah, what a coincidence. Looks like...
It was nothing, really. We happened to run into each other shortly after my arrival, and I'm more curious as to why you thought the Traveler and Paimon were in danger. Allergies are highly...
Remember the first time we met? You fainted after inhaling Spirit Borneal.
The Spirit Borneal didn't affect Paimon at all, and now she...
It's not really something you can make sense out of, Paimon. There are all kinds of allergies out there, caused by a variety of different factors.
Exactly. I even encountered a case in Fontaine where someone had an allergic reaction to soba noodles their family brought back from Inazuma.
Whoa. Good thing Paimon isn't allergic to anything delicious.
In a manner of speaking,
In addition to medicine, Emily is also very knowledgeable about...
and that's where my expertise ends, I'm afraid. When it comes to breadth of knowledge, Tainari's...
A flower expert? Oh, Paimon's got it! You must be the...
Wrong again, I'm afraid.
Well, I did come for the exhibition, but only to inquire about the Auguste variety.
Oh, Paimon was sure she got it right this time.
It's a kind of flower that was once popular in Fontaine. The perfume made from...
Auguste, huh?
In an ancient language, the word is said to mean sacred or noble. It's some... Ah, that reminds me. Are you familiar with a historical event in Fontaine known as Perfumania? Was an event that occurred in Fontaine nearly... It all started when several merchants released their own lines of high-end, expensive perfumes, marketing them as must-have luxury products, the very symbol of elegance itself. No one anticipated the absolute frenzy this would create on the market, causing the price of the demand was twofold. What some saw as a status symbol, most saw as a money-making opportunity. You could take advantage of the value of these products became so inflated, regular bottles of perfume were even going for hundreds of thousands of mora. This resulted in countless disputes, but at the end of the day, perfume is just perfume. The market value greatly exceeded the intrinsic worth of the product. Luckily, the Palais Mermonia recognized the danger and intervened before the craze could truly spread. In the end, only a few wealthy families were affected when the bubble popped.
What does all this have to do with that Auguste you mentioned earlier?
Well, during the craze, the most popular perfume was none other than Auguste. The demand far exceeded the supply, to the point where it once sold for 10 million.
10 million? Then what about now?
After the mania ended, most perfumes returned to a normal price. Auguste was the only exception. Its namesake, the flower used to create it, went extinct. As a result, indeed. The Auguste flower was not a natural variety, you see. It was specially cultivated. When the bubble popped, all the flower beds used for its cultivation were destroyed in a fire. The variety...
But didn't you say you came to the exhibition?
Ah, yes. I came to investigate a certain rumor that the Auguste flower has reappeared in Sumeru. It's causing quite the...
Traveler, we should help Emily look for it.
I have to agree. Emily wrote me to ask if I could look into the rumor, but the forest rangers haven't received...
Even if I can locate the flower, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed, Paimon. I don't have any grand mora making... Divine, noble, one of a kind. All beautiful sentiments, to be sure. But when it comes to perfume, I want people to forget the price and the prestige, and
Wow, so noble.
Of course, there's also a more practical reason. In recent years, low-grade counterfeit... Every so often, someone will claim to have recreated the unique scent of Auguste, and the rumor mill will start comparing the counterfeits to my own...
Okay, that's more like the reason.
Ever since that rumor started, 3 new perfumes claiming to be made from the Auguste flower have appeared on them. If I can dispel the fanaticism surrounding Auguste, even just by proving the rumor to be false, Fontaine's perfume market can finally start to get back to normal. Then I'll be free from all the stories and added meaning and just focus.
That makes sense.
Oh, I would of course be grateful for your help, but I wouldn't want to trouble.
Well, you said it yourself. We're both travelers from abroad, so it's only right that we help each other out.
Ha! I suppose you're right.
Based on the information I have so far, it's unclear if the rumor is true. Mr. Edgar also thinks it's too early to say, but you could always go talk to him.
Huh, I was just about to pay him a visit at the hotel.
Edgar? Who's that?
The person you've been trying to guess this whole time. The flower expert in charge of the exhibition, back when he was still working in Fontaine.
I should also mention, he was my teacher.
So this guy was a famous perfumer in Fontaine, but then he came to Sumeru to teach people from Fontaine? It sounds confusing.
It's a long story. If you're interested, we can talk more about it when we see him. He should be staying near the hotel.
Oh, look at all the flowers!
Apparently, the exhibitor paid a large sum to rent out the hotel and surrounding buildings. They're being used as temporary.
Yeah, what if guests come early? They won't have anywhere to stay. Also, renting out this big of a hotel, how are they gonna make that Mora back?
It's been so long, I almost didn't recognize you, Edgar.
Well, you and your brother haven't changed a bit.
Oh, yeah. All this catching up is nice and all, but let's get down.
Hold on. We have guests.
It's nice to see you again, Master.
Emily? Is that you? I've heard you've become quite the famous perfumer in Fontaine.
Oh, well, it's all thanks to your
Hardly. I've taught many students here in Sumeru over the years, but I've yet to see one turn out quite as accomplished as you. You're the only one who can take credit for that success. And who are these two?
They're my new friends, the Traveler and Paimon.
Emily's friends. Well,
And these two gentlemen? Are they friends of...
Of course! We're perfume merchants from Fontaine. I'm Oud, and this here is my...
Yes.
Merchant Brothers?
You must be here to look for the August flower then.
Huh?
Well, what respectable perfume merchant hasn't heard of a goose? Anyone in the bit...
I'm guessing you're here for the same reason, Emily. We were just about to get it. I commissioned a few eremites to do some scouting. That being said, there are people in Port Ormos who claim to have smelled. Some of them were merchants who lived in Fontaine 20 years ago. According to them, the fragrance smelled a one-of-a-kind, divine, and...
Maybe someone around here just happened...
No, I don't think so. I doubt that's the case. Even if someone had a bottle that was never opened, the fragrance of the perfume... Auguste is even more prone to that kind of shift. Only if... Although... Could there be a flower out there with a similar fragrance?
Impossible! If a goose were that easy to replicate, it would never have sold for such a high price all those years.
Technically speaking, the scent...
Well, let's table that question for now. Edgar, did any of those people mention where the scent...
No. By the time they realized they had smelled something, the scent was already gone. Compared to things we see and hear, smells can be much easier to overlook.
It almost sounds like someone wearing...
Wait, are you saying...
Just thinking out loud!
We don't have much to go off of right now, but we can't rule out that possibility. You all traveled so far to be here. Why don't you rest in the hotel for a bit? Oud, Blaze.
Ooh, you've got the keys to the rooms? Do we get...
My apologies. All the rooms in the hotel are accounted for, I'm afraid. I managed to tidy up one of the rooms for these two at the last minute. But by the time Emily wrote to me, there...
Oh, and we just showed up out of the blue. Guess that means...
I should have been more considerate. Here I am with an entire hotel at my disposal.
Don't worry, Master. I can sleep on the boat tonight. Or I could even camp in the wild. It would give me the opportunity to collect some plant specimens while I'm here in Sumeru. Even better. Although, would it be possible for me to leave some of my luggage here? It would be rather cumbersome.
Well,
Of course, no trouble at all. My brother and I will keep an eye...
all right then. Oud, why don't you take Emily inside and find a suitable place? I'll prepare some refreshments and...
Whoa, the smell of flowers is so strong. Didn't Edgar say he tidied up around here? Hyman took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers. Looks like this exhibition is gonna be huge.
No, that's a florist thing. We work closely with the essential oils of various plants. But to maintain a sharp sense of smell, most perfumers...
Oh, guess there's just too much to store for the exhibition then.
Oh, this room seems to be a connected suite. And my brother will... Blaze, while you're out... Blaze!
Yes, of course.
All right, then. Where can we find your luggage, mademoiselle? Blaze...
It's still at the port. In addition to some daily necessities, there's also a case of amber wine that I brought back from Fontaine. Could I trouble you to bring that back as well?
How generous. I should thank you on my...
Is that so? Mr. Oud, Mr. Blaze, thanks...
Hey! What are you doing?
That's Master's voice.
Edgar!
Master!
Hey, Edgar!
Who did this?
Kyria.
Kyria.
Hey, Edgar?
No, don't shake him. He's injured. Just leave him to me. You two can... Oh, thank you.
I checked. It doesn't look like anyone packed...
Oh, but that's impossible. Oh, the culprit, I mean. It's not like the culprit could...
That strange smell around here. Is it coming from this bottle? Really? Do you think whoever did this was hiding in the flowers? Well, we looked all over, but the only clue we found was that bottle.
The most important thing we can do now is focus our efforts on treating Master. Can
So, how's he doing?
When I administered emergency treatment, I discovered a residue in his nose and mouth. Master was most likely forced to ingest a certain liquid. He's still unconscious, and inducing vomiting could obstruct. Ah, yes. The scent is the same. But first, I do believe there are two people who could shed some light on the situation. Mr. Sylvain, Mr. Lucien.
Wait, you know...
Hey! Were you talking to us, mademoiselle? I'm afraid...
Before arriving in Sumeru, I asked a friend from the Special Patrol to look into the creators of Auguste. There were 4 people in total. The perfumer, Edgar, the one thrust into the limelight, a researcher from Sumeru responsible for cultivating the Auguste flower, and 2 merchant brothers. The 2 brothers capitalized on the mythos surrounding Auguste. Their actions lured in numerous speculators and profiteers. In the end, they were sent to the fortress of Meripede for falsifying.
And what does that have to do with us? There are countless...
Every time your brother called you Blaze, it took you several seconds to respond. But when I called you Lucien just now, the name registered.
Ah, Miss Emily, out of respect for your position as a famous perfume, you have a bright future ahead of you. You wouldn't want to develop a reputation as someone who throws around false accusations, especially among
You claim to be regular perfume merchants.
What?
Amber wine is a perfume I created several years ago. It wasn't particularly renowned, until recently, they were living somewhere completely...
Emily, you little...
Don't misunderstand, Mr. Sylvain. I don't bring this up to criticize you. No matter what happened, but Master's life is in danger. We need to learn whatever we can about the person who has done this. If Master's attack had something to do with Auguste, I would imagine the 2... So I'd like to trouble you for some information, if I...
Fine.
Sylvain!
Lucien, if this will help us find Kyria, then it will be all worth it. Besides, you were right, Miss Emily. There were 4 of us at the beginning. Myself, Lucien, Edgar. Sometime down the road, the Marechaussee Phantom came knocking, saddled us with a list of accusations, and started looking into our book.
Sounds like he's still upset about that. Wait, then how did Edgar end up in Sumeru?
Master was convicted as an accomplice, so he only had to serve a few years. He decided to move to Sumeru so that he could put those events behind him. Still, Master was depressed for a long time after that. He stopped making new perfumes and focused on introducing... That's how I met him. My parents had to relocate to Sumeru for work when I was a child, so I had the chance to study under him for a little while. But we can talk about that some other time. I want to hear more about this researcher, Vijava.
Like us, Vijava was also... But before the Phantom showed up at her door...
But destroying all that evidence... What?
It didn't matter at that point, because she died in the fire as well.
What?
Sounds like you did an investigation of your own. Why even ask us if you knew all of this already?
The name wasn't mentioned in any of the files I reviewed either, but you two seem quite familiar with him.
Kiria was Vijava's younger brother. He was just a clueless kid back then. Somewhere in his teens, I think. He helped his sister with her work sometimes. Vijava kept him close most of the time. The three of us were probably the only ones who even knew she had. After our operation was compromised, he disappeared. There were no signs of it.
So, you think Kiria took something with him back then? Something that...
Vijava doted on the kid like you wouldn't believe. She even told us to give her cut to her brother if anything happened to her. If she left something behind before she died, believe...
And judging by the liquid in that bottle, the Auguste flower wasn't the only thing he reproduced. He managed to replicate the...
So the liquid Edgar was forced to ingest really was Auguste.
Poison? No. Of course not. If Auguste could be considered a poison, we wouldn't have even sold half a bottle back. He probably thought we had something to do with his sister's death. But to tell you the truth, I have no idea why she did all that. We're not looking for Kiria because we have it out for him. We just wanted to see how he was doing. And if we only went to prison for a bit of fraud and market manipulation, it had nothing to do with the product itself. As long as we keep things honest this time around.
So that's why you never mentioned Kiria during your interrogation?
Yes, exactly. We were...
Anyway, that's all we know. If you're looking for information on what's in Auguste,
Well, at least we're able to say for certain that the substance Edgar ingested was in fact Auguste. That gives us a direction for further testing.
Well, glad to hear it. Lucian, let's head back to the room and rest a bit. With everything that's happened.
Yes, of course.
You think so too? That does seem to be the case. Pity we don't. But based on Sylvain's tone of voice just now, I suspect further
The way you exposed them like that, just based on a hunch, that was genius! Oh, right. Earlier you said you were only sort of a doctor, and that you're...
Oh yes, that's because most of the patients I encounter are...
So you're a forensic doc?
Close. I'm actually a forensic cleaner. Once the forensic team and the Marechaussee Phantom are done collecting evidence from the scene, I'm in charge of clearing away the final traces my patients... In fact, with just a small alteration to the formula, the same tincture used as the bait... Basically, there are two sides to forensics. Those who collect evidence to expose the truth, and those who clean up the smells, bloodstains, and other... I've learned a lot in my line of work, and I've witnessed a lot of death. But this time, we may still save the patient. Actually, Traveler, could I trouble you to report back to Tainari and the officers? I'll stay here and continue to look after Master. Now that we have a sample of Auguste, I'm hoping further now...
Whoa, why the rush? Did some...
What? Edgar was attacked? He's the most famous perfumer in the region. Someone who's helped countless people around Port Ormos.
Sheriff, have you received any reports of a suspicious individual fleeing through the bazaar?
No, but we've got eyes all over the area. I'm sure someone's seen Kiria. I'll start gathering my forces. We won't let him get away.
What about you, Tainari? Do you have a...
I'm sure the sheriff can handle things over at the scene, and I doubt Emily...
but she said she's not a real...
Then she was far too modest. She may not be a doctor by trade, but she has a deeper understanding of human anatomy and pharmacology, not to mention the fact that Mr. Edgar's condition is related to perfume. As for me, I'll head to the academia and see what I can learn about Vijava and Kiria.
Oh, that's right! Vijava was supposed to be a scholar from Sumeru.
From Emily's letter, certainly, but that was the first time I'd heard of it. The academia produces a lot of scholars, and I didn't have time to look into it earlier, but now it seems like Vijava's past could be critical to getting to... I have friends in Sumeru City that can help me investigate. With any luck, we'll have news to share by tomorrow. I'll leave you and Emily to watch over things here in Port Ormos.
Well, it's been a day. Wonder if Tainari's discovered anything. But things weren't looking good with Emily's master yesterday. We should check on things at the hotel first.
No longer in critical condition, thankfully. He's still very weak, but with a bit more rest, he should regain consciousness soon. My chemical analysis of a goose also went smoothly, although it certainly raised some questions. I was able to identify the components that give the substance its fragrance, but I also noticed an abnormal
Elemental energy?
Hard to say. It was such a minute amount, proportionally speaking. Like, I had to use one of the newest tests developed in recent years to even detect the traces present in the sample. Unless you were abnormally sensitive to elemental energy, I doubt it would have any effect, even if you used. As for whether Master's condition was caused by the elemental energy present in the sample or some other component of the perfume, it's still too early to say.
Oh, that reminds Paimon. Did Tainari come and find you? Maybe...
I received a message from him last night, but I haven't heard anything since. The message said he was looking into some...
Oh, Paimon thought he might have stopped by to see you first. Excuse me? Is Miss Emily here? Oh, perfect! Familiar faces! Traveler, Paimon, you're here too!
Kale. Ah, of course. Tainari's apprentice. He's mentioned you many times. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. And please, no need for formalities. Emily is just fine.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you. Did Tainari send you here, Kale? Yep. Master and the others went through decades worth of records last night, and still haven't had a chance to rest. I'm fast on my feet, so it only made sense for me to come and give you an update. Anyway, based on what they've reviewed so far, they believe there's no indication that a researcher by the name of Vijava... Master considered that possibility as well. But the name wasn't the only dead end. Master tried... How is that possible?
It's starting to seem very likely if we want to figure out her true identity.
Hey! Lucian!
It's Sylvain! Wait, you don't think Yugioh came back, do you?
That seems impossible. If someone came in or out of the hotel just now, we... It's locked?
Lucian! Lucian! Come on! Emily, Emily! My brother.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sylvain, but
No, no, that's not...
Traveler, Kale, Mr. Sylvain has gone through a huge shock. He needs some space to calm down. Could one of you take him next door? It's not good for...
Of course. Leave it to me.
Thank you both. Mr. Sylvain, let's get you up. Here. We'll take things from here. Just focus on getting some rest. Here, this way.
Poor guy. He's like a shell of his former self. He may have made some bad decisions in life, but
Good person or bad, the death of a loved one is equally painful. All the moments he shared with his brother, every...
if Yugioh really was behind this, then...
Lucian can no longer speak, but the traces left behind by his death most... Traveler, I've got things covered here at the scene. I'll leave you to contact the sheriff.
Who would have thought? Yesterday's case is still up in the air, and now this happens. Miss Emily, I heard you're an experienced forensic doctor. Have you been able to discover anything?
Oh, I'm not actually a forensic doctor. I just happen to have some relevant knowledge. I did take a look, though. Judging by the temperature and rigidity of the body, it appears the time of death was sometime...
Then, would you mind helping us investigate? Before he left, Tainari said...
Of course, I appreciate your trust. Many of the traces left behind...
We'll help too. We don't know much about dead bodies, but... And the windows are shut tight too. Seems like the only way to get in. Well, looks like we've investigated as much as we can. Let's go report back to Emily and Shiam.
So, did you find anything?
Paimon can show you. Here, it'd be something like this.
But entering through the room next door without alerting Sylvain... Wait.
No, his reaction to the loss of his brother seemed genuine, and he doesn't have a motive.
Then what could have happened last night? I know Sylvain is still in shock, but he's our only available witness. We have to take his statement.
I agree. Also, I've made some new discoveries, so we might as well head next door.
Mr. Sylvain, I need you to tell me everything you and your brother did since yesterday afternoon. Did you see or hear any...
After Kyria attacked Edgar, my brother, we returned to our rooms and decided to lock all the doors leading to the hallway. The only door we kept unlocked was the one connecting our rooms. But I didn't hear any sort of commotion last night. Not a single noise. I woke up this morning, opened the door.
So, no movement from the room next door. No no signs of a struggle at the scene. And no
I did notice a few things about the body. Lucien's pupils were dilated, and his skin was flushed. Very similar to Master's symptoms. There weren't any traces of liquid in his mouth or nose, so it's unlikely he was forced to ingest anything. The more plausible explanation is that he...
A goose? No, that's not possible. Inhaling a goose won't kill you. And anyway, it would have been for just one night. No. Emily, you ran your tests, didn't you? Go on. Tell everyone whether you found...
No. I didn't find any common...
See? A goose is harmless. The market response proved...
That may be true for most people, but not for everyone.
Master!
Edgar? You're up and about?
Thanks to Emily. Sylvain, no matter how hard you may try to hide...
Edgar!
Even if we could keep it a secret for another 10 or 20 years, do you think Kyria would just let us be? No. He would never give up. Not if he's doing... That's Vijava's real name. Yelena wasn't a scholar from Sumeru. She was an exiled Fatus from...
Fatus?
The Fatui. Well, that...
Ah, so you've already detected it.
Oh.
The August flower was created with the mutative and distorting power.
A delusion?
The Fatui, delusions... I never would have thought a goose...
Born of a delusion, August contained distorted elemental energy. A prolonged exposure over many years could...
That's enough, Edgar. At first, Yelena wanted to keep refining. It didn't have any effect on ordinary people anyway.
So you decided poisoning people was worth the risk?
Listen, it's not like it was good for business. Unless you were particularly sensitive to elemental energy or had an entire bottle shoved down your...
It may be true there are no records of Auguste poisoning in Fontaine, but even if no one was acutely poisoned, willfully bringing a product to market despite explicit knowledge of its harmful effects is still a serious crime. That explains why you were so intent on keeping Yelena and Kyria's involvement a secret all this. The Fatui, delusions, Auguste. If the Marechaussee Phantom discovered the connection between the three...
Ha! If I'd known coming to Sumeru would put a target on my back, I would have... All these years without any sign of Kyria, and he pops up out of nowhere the minute my brother and I get out of prison? A ghost was harmless before. The fact...
So there's bad blood between...
What about Yelena's death? Was that a cover-up too? A way to destroy evidence?
I'll admit, we thought about it at one point. We took care to disguise the products circulating on the market, and no one was questioning Yelena's fake identity. But if the Marechaussee Phantom decided to look into the flower beds, it would have been the end. Before we could even put our plan in motion, Yelena beat us to it.
But if her goal was to destroy evidence... Yeah, she could have just burned the flower beds and fled with her brother.
I thought about it for a long time, but it wasn't everything she did. One of the reasons they defected from the Fatui was the deterioration of Yelena's body. Due to her... After arriving in Fontaine, Yelena continued using the delusion to cultivate the Auguste flower, weakening her body even further. There were times when she couldn't even walk.
So she couldn't flee with her brother because she was afraid of holding him back.
If her true identity was exposed, the Auguste flower and Yelena's own corroded body both bore the mark of a delusion. So, in the end, she burnt it all to ash, including herself.
So the wealth you earned from Auguste, it wasn't destroyed in the fire. Yelena gave it...
Most likely. Before Yelena died, she said if any... That's why Lucien and I were searching for Kyria, to take back Armora and the Auguste flower.
But why is Kyria out for revenge anyway? Doesn't he know about...
I don't think he knew his sister was nearing death. Yelena always wore heavy makeup around him to conceal her deteriorating appearance. She kept...
Then all we'll need to do is tell Kyria what really happened, and then I'm not so sure. Even if he knew the truth, he'd still find someone to blame. He might think Yelena was forced into using a delusion to cultivate a ghost, or something like... It's hard to pull yourself out of that kind of hatred. Especially...
Very true. Even if Yelena's death was her own choice.
Edgar!
Think about it, Sylvain. If we hadn't been in such a hurry to capitalize, if we hadn't been so blinded by greed, so insistent on increasing, if we hadn't invited the Marechaussee Phantom to our doorstep by breaking the law at every turn.
She knew her limits. She knew her day. We were just trying to earn a bit of more. Lucien's crime.
The only person that can answer...
Fine.
3 people from Fontaine, 1 from Snezhnaya, and a crime committed in Port Ormuz. Well, we can only wait until the Academia sends someone to deal with it. I'm guessing we'll have to contact Fontaine as well. With the exhibition, we don't even have space in Port Ormuz to detain anyone. So
The hotel could suffice. You could station a few officers to keep an eye on... Although with Sylvain's mental state and my physical one, I don't think you need to worry about a jailbreak.
Mr. Edgar, are you saying...
If Sylvain is to stand trial, then I deserve the same fate. A crime is a crime. I'd just like to take care of a few things before I go. Say goodbye to my plan. As for Sylvain, I'm sure he also... Would you be willing to grant that request?
Well, all right. I'll talk to the Academia. The man we grew to know in Sumeru proved himself to be a good person.
You have my thanks, Sheriff.
Happened tonight? Oh.
Yeah! All we know is that he uses a goose to poison people. But we still have no idea how to catch... If he targets Sylvain or Ed...
That may be true. But what if we can take advantage? If we take advantage of this situation and lure him in on purpose, we might...
Master, no. That's too dangerous.
If Kiria learns we're being taken away tomorrow, his last chance... In other words, you want to use us as bait.
Capture? Not necessarily. I just...
Afraid? I'm spending the rest of my life in prison As for the danger, everyone...
I'll admit, it could work. We just need to spread... Then I'll station some of my men around the hotel. If we...
I still have some reservations. But if you...
I'll also keep watch.
Although, if Kiria noticed another person in...
You mean if he doesn't...
If that were to happen...
That's why everyone else needs to keep to the shadows.
You're still recovering. You need to rest.
All right, we can figure out a plan to keep watch later. Right?
Have you heard? Mr. Edgar's been detained. He's being taken away tomorrow.
What? He's the one who helped craft all the fragrances for our
He taught my child how to make perfume. How could this happen?
He hasn't been convicted yet. Let's just wait and see what the court has to say.
Oh, everyone on the street is talking about the rumors. No matter where Kiria is hiding, he must have heard them by now. Let's head back to the hotel and take a break. Chef Xian wants to talk to you and the Traveler about our plans for the night walk.
Thank you, Kale. But first, here. I prepared a kind of herbal tea that helps calm the spirit. What?
Oh, that's very kind of you.
Oh, it's not good to be so tense, especially when we've got a long... You seem very preoccupied with Kiria's revenge.
Oh, Hey, Emily, Kale. Oh, are we interrupting? No, not at all. This will be easier to talk through with you here anyway. I've just been thinking. If Kiria has the capacity to commit murder while remaining completely undetected, there was just a single door separating them. If his intention was to target both brothers, when I accompanied Sylvain to his room after Lucien died, and saw how distraught he was, maybe Kiria did that on purpose. Maybe he wanted Sylvain to experience the... So did he attack Edgar as a warning then? To scare Sylvain?
Based on what we've heard about Kiria, that...
Losing his sister all those years ago. Whenever I get to thinking like that, I just can't help but wonder. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't think like that. Not after ever...
There's nothing wrong with the way you're feeling. Empathy is a part... In all my years of cleaning up crime scenes, I've witnessed countless families. Some of them even try to stop me, begging me not to erase the last remnants of... Surround yourself with fragrance for too long, and your sense of smell will become dull. So while you hold on to that sense of empathy, do Sylvain and Lucien really deserve to die? How much did they truly know about the Fatui and the delusion? Answering those questions requires a lot of time and evidence. I've witnessed a lot of deaths in Fontaine. When someone dies, but generally speaking, death...
Once you're consumed by hatred,
You're right. The fact that we can approach these questions from this but that also makes us perfectly positioned to stand. I understand Kiria's decision, but I still want to stop him.
Huh. The fortunate...
Emily, Traveler. Huh? Edgar.
Oh, it's you two! Didn't you head back to your room to rest, Edgar? Is it really okay for you?
A little exercise never hurt. Besides, I don't have much time left in Sumeru.
We could do that for you, Master.
No need. I've grown attached to these flowers. And this is... I would imagine Sheriff Sham is here for a...
The Night Watch! You mentioned earlier that we still need...
That's right. I've stationed some of my men around the surrounding area, but we still don't have anyone standing guard next to Sylvain's room. Exactly. After some discussion, we concluded that Sylvain has the highest risk of being attacked next. And Emily's expertise is sure to come in handy in a pinch. That's why I want you two stationed.
Sounds perfectly reasonable. I'll be glad to have your help tonight, Traveler.
Not a peep. Has Kiria given up on his revenge? Guess we'll have to keep it. Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Perhaps Kiria's true motive was simply forcing Sylvain to confess his crime. No, that can't be right. If all he wanted was for Sylvain to be convicted for his true crimes, he could have tipped off the Marechaussee Phantom years ago. There must be something we're missing.
Maybe we just need to calm down a little. How about some tea? That herbal blend from earlier was pretty tasty. You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then, look! Oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Flowers, glaze lilies, incense. Oh no! Sylvain's room! Quick!
Wait, what?
Hey, did you hear? Someone was attacked.
It was the older of the merchant brothers, right?
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain.
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant named Lucian, and now this.
Listen up, everyone. This is an active crime scene. Please.
It's been 3 days and they haven't even caught a glimpse of the guy.
Do you think it could be the work of an evil I mean, how do you get away with something like that with so many people watching?
Keep it moving, everyone. Nope.
I suppose I'm next.
You don't know that. Kiria already attacked you once, and you survived. Perhaps he doesn't consider your crime to be worthy of death.
You were the only reason I managed to survive, Emily.
Even if I wasn't there, Tainari was also in the vicinity. He would have been able to help.
Is that so? I have exceptional students, caring friends, but Kiria has nothing. It really makes you wonder.
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kiria himself once we've...
Well, Emilie, there's something else I'd like to ask of you. But so many flowers were transported here for the show. Whether Kiria gets to me first, or I'm sent back, I know it's a lot to ask.
Of course, Master.
Really? Now
Sheriff Sham still has some questions.
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting. He can be.
I'm sorry, Master.
Another all-nighter. Emily still isn't back. I hope she didn't run into any trouble. Yeah, that's true.
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. But after listening to Emily's plan, I started getting the materials together. To be honest, I'm still not sure how...
The key clue was right in front of us the entire time! Let's go! We'll show you where the culprit hid a goop. This is it!
The glazed lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before. It's a...
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emily, you're back!
Exactly as expected.
A flower that only blooms at night. Ah, like the Neelitpala lotus.
Exactly. Although the Neelitpala lotus wouldn't be a good substitute in this scenario. That's why Kiria chose the glaze lily as his mechanism. He would start...
There's a sticky substance on the edge of the flower petals. If you stick the petals together with slime condensate, if poured into the flower pot, the liquid would seep into the soil. If applied to the outside... That does...
That's right! He applied a diluted form of slime condensate to the petals to stick them. That way, the agouste would remain trapped inside during the daytime. However, the diluted slime condensate wouldn't be viscous enough to prevent the petals of the glaze lily from opening at night.
And Kiria could execute his revenge without having to step foot inside the room.
By the next morning, the sample of agouste would have nearly fully...
Wait a second. You're telling me this version of agouste is so toxic, inhaling the minute amount trapped inside a flower is enough to... And how did Edgar even survive ingesting a whole bottle of the stuff?
That's because agouste is just as dangerous now as it was all those years ago.
Ah, you mean people who are sensitive to elemental energy? That can't be right. They were...
I wouldn't use the word allergic. You can think of it this way. It's not that...
The incense I smelled earlier seemed familiar. In Sumeru, scholars use spirit borneal to aid all kinds of essential oils commonly found in alchemical products can temporarily increase elemental affinity. In Fontaine, I experienced how drinking... That doesn't... That doesn't...
That doesn't...
Alchemically produced essential oils, the primordial seawater that caused unrest in Fontaine not too long ago. All of those are substances that can heighten your sense.
That stuff gave us a lot of trouble when we first came to Sumeru. Ah, yes. I definitely remember that.
In Sumeru, it's not uncommon to use incense indoors, so its presence wouldn't arouse suspicion. The
Flowers were pretty important to this plan, huh? The glazed lily is native to Liyue. It would be completely unnatural to have one here in...
Actually, it's not a coincidence at all.
No wonder he was willing to pay a small fortune to rent out the hotel. He probably used the Mora Yelena left him, don't you think? That money was but in the end, it was just a tool for his revenge.
There's a saying among forensic doctors in Fontaine. But up until this point, we haven't been able to detect any trace of Kiria's activities. But because he's been disguised as some...
The Mora spent to rent out the hotel. It all points to one person. Kiria and Edgar are one. Creating such an intricate mechanism out of a glaze lily. It all points to one person. That...
But Kiryu was only in his teens back then. He wouldn't even be 40 years old by now. Edgar's lived here for so many years. Even if he changed his appearance...
Bad news, Sheriff! Mr. Edgar was attacked!
What?
A dark shadow-like figure just ran out of his room. It was giving off a really ominous aura. But before we could even react, the figure up and disappeared like some sort of ghost or something. By the time we got a look inside the room, do you think Kiria kidnapped him?
I need you to think very carefully about this. Are you certain?
I mean, Mr. Edgar was so frail.
It would seem Master decided to tap into an
What? But that's so dangerous with the condition he's in.
But why? Why would...
No. If his aim was to target everyone who had a hand in Yelena's...
If he left Sylvain alive yesterday, not...
Then there's still...
The shadow-like figure ran in the direction of the elevator, and my partner immediately chased after them.
We should hurry before they're forced to confront each other.
Where in the world did he go? Let's ask the merchants nearby.
A ghost!
It's all right. Please, calm down and take a deep breath. Okay.
I saw... How could... How...
This is terrifying.
No! Don't come any closer! No! Don't come any closer!
If we go any further, we'll be out of port.
It's all right. I can detect a faint... It's this way. Please, follow me. The scent is getting stronger. This must be the place.
Oh! Oh! Are you all right? Were you attacked?
No, I'm all right. I was just...
Let me take a look.
The air definitely feels heavy. It smells nice, but for some reason, this feeling, I've encountered it before.
Everything looks all right. It was probably just the stress of the chase.
I can't rest. Mr. Edgar he's a good man.
Oz, you need to calm down and listen to me.
But how is that possible? Mr. Edgar is 70-something. Changing your appearance to look decades older.
That's precisely why he had to resort to extraordinary measures to age him. Kiria used a delusion to bring back the August flower, corroding his...
No. He couldn't have. Mr. Edgar has been in Port Ormos for years.
And what if the impersonation started before? I've yet to confirm it, but I suspect Kiria killed the real Edgar in Fontaine not long after his release from prison. While Edgar was incarcerated, Kiria started making preparations to replace him, including forcefully aging his body. Studying the new Edgar then decided to relocate to Sumeru, seemingly out of an innocuous desire to let go, and Sumeru fit the bill to a T, with no one around to question his identity. All he had to do was grow a beard, don a pair of glasses. As the years went by, he removed his disguise little by little and continued to refine his skill.
That explains why Sylvain said he barely recognized Edgar back. He aged himself decades beyond his years just so he could accomplish...
I need to find Mr. Edgar. He's not...
What you really need is to get out.
No,
Wait! This environment is likely being influenced by the delusion. Any discomfort, no matter how slight, should not be treated lightly. I know how to relieve your symptoms, Mr. Ooze. Please come with me. I'm sure Kiria... No, Edgar wouldn't want any more innocent people implicated.
Kale's right. The Traveler and I will take things from here. From our brief exposure, this leads me to believe those blessed with a vision or capable of wielding elemental power are more... Actually, now that I think about it, this stronghold... I hate to trouble you, but we...
Thanks. Hear that? We're heading out. There's work to be done. Ooze, head back to Port Ormos and start gathering reinforcements.
Got it.
Traveler, Emilie, Paimon, for someone whose only purpose in life is revenge, there's no telling what they'll...
Don't worry. This isn't the end. Not for us. We're not going to let a goose kill anyone else. It's time for the mythos to fade into obscurity. Monsters. Perhaps they were attracted here by the increased level of elemental energy.
Let's get it on! Hi!
I've never seen these seeds before. They must also have been created with the power of a delusion. It seems to be avoiding us, and there's no other way forward. Perhaps we could try luring it to the edge of the cliff. Neutralize!
Look alive! Ha!
Yeah. 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 Rah. Yeah. Za.
Whoa, look at all the Auguste flowers! There are so many of them. Paimon can't...
I fear that statement is truer than you know, Paimon. Using a delusion
But why would Kiria need this? He only needed a few bottles of Auguste to carry...
Perhaps hatred wasn't the only... Not long ago, he told me he didn't want all the flowers, but Kiria betrayed Snezhnaya, abandoned Fontaine, and lived his entire life in Sumeru under the... for someone with nowhere to call home. Perhaps...
Yeah! Let's get it on!
Extract! Yeah. 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 Fresh and floral! Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. 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 Rah. Neutralize! A plant that destroys seeds. Huh. Quite the ecological marvel. Let's head back to the place where the seeds first appeared. The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end. The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end.
Did they catch up that No. My strength is just waning. But it doesn't matter.
This is a garden of Auguste flowers. But it's not mine. It's the one that was set on fire all those... Yelena? Yelena! You tried to hide it from me, but the reason why you continued to use the delusion, the reason why you set your garden on fire, it was all... I shouldn't have listened to you that day. I shouldn't have taken the Mora and ran. But by the time I realized something wasn't right, there was nothing left. I know I'm almost 20 years too late. I should have died with you that day! Yelena? Yelena! No! Don't leave me! Please, Yelena!
I'm alive. No.
That was an illusion, likely brought about by the residual toxin in your body coupled with the pollen in the air.
No. The amount of Auguste I drank, it should have been enough. A fake, but...
We started making the preparations last night with one goal, to create a perfect accord. The accord is the basis of perfume making,
the product in its most primitive form. Ambergris mixed with cedarwood, rounded out with a base note of agarwood.
This is the scent of leather?
Exactly. We're unable to extract essential oils from leather, but by combining other raw materials, we can recreate its essence. That is the purpose of an accord.
Does that mean you can recreate any scent in the whole world?
I'm afraid not. Certain fragrances in this world are simply one of a kind. That quality is what draws people in and fuels their obsessions.
If I wear a goose to the ball, I'll also be one of a kind.
Our competitor already got their hands on it. Perfume all over.
It doesn't matter how much it costs. I have to buy something better.
This fragrance will be one of a kind, no more. Myths can be deconstructed, miracles can be recreated. All it takes is skill, experience, limitless exploration, and a little patience. The only thing left is determining where the real Auguste is hidden. Pretending to be attacked means he's not free to move around. Auguste must be hidden within reach.
Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers.
The curator commissioned a flower pot from Kasharawar, capable of retaining heat and moisture.
Perfumes are as beautiful as flowers, and equally as delicate. When stored, you must take care to control the temperature and keep them away from direct sunlight. Did you get all that, Emily?
I got it.
last night.
So, Sylvain is dead. Is that right?
Yes, Master.
So, you switched the bottles of Auguste, and then lied to me about Sylvain's death.
Convincing you that your revenge had been completed was the easiest way to get you to—
Impossible. Even if you found a way to switch out the bottles. If Auguste was so easy to replicate.
It was a combination of rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilias. Those ingredients would have conflicted with each other, but recently, we found a way for them to work together.
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies.
Auguste was created over 10 years ago. All this time, people never stopped analyzing it, never stopped. Perfumery techniques are advancing day by day. We've found better ways to extract essential oils, separate oils and fat. The mythos surrounding Auguste may have been untouchable almost 20 years ago, but now it's time for it to become a thing of the past.
The past?
You've been working as a perfumer for all these years. You should have always known that it is possible to make an accord, even if only in theory. But the meaning you assigned to Auguste became so inflated, you allowed yourself to get lost in it. Just like the perfume mania, that you believed in its divinity and grandeur. You believed it was entirely one of a kind. Your obsession with Auguste is also what allowed us to predict how you intended your plan to end.
We just didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Well, you hit so. Sylvain isn't dead. Since you've been preparing your accord since last night, I assume you've also figured out. That means the news of Sylvain's death. The crowd gathered outside the hotel this morning. It was all—
Yes. If we hadn't, you might have resorted to the delusion out of desperation, or—
Who knows? Maybe I would have just offed myself.
I know if you had things your way, you would carry the truth of Edgar's demise and the secrets of this garden to the grave, but I'm sorry, Master. Sylvain only inhaled a small amount of poison. All the crimes he concealed back then will be exposed in a court of law for everyone to see. And all his—
Is that so? Well,
Whoa, he accepted that kind of fast.
I don't feel the need to justify my actions. I did what I set out to do.
Careful, everyone. This environment is dangerous. I'll lead the way.
Stick close and hurry up.
Looks like I'm almost out of time.
Of course, Master.
The combination you used to make your accord.
The scent of Auguste is complex and varied, yet the main ingredient consists of a single variety of flower. So, as I was analyzing the sample yesterday, I got to thinking, what if the scent of the Auguste flower was already imbued with that—
You're saying Yelena designed Auguste to have the scent of multiple—
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, Cecilias. The perfumers of the past knew that if you cultivate a new flower species that intrinsically carries the unique features of those three scents—
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, Yelena.
Did you know? Miss Emily's releasing a new perfume! Right, I heard about that. I think it's called Yelena.
Seems like everyone in Fontaine is talking about the new perfume you're releasing.
I was hoping to release it without such a fuss, but the news spread way faster than I expected. I just hope it won't become the source of some new myth, especially after all the work we did to demystify a ghost. I did, although I made a few modifications to the formula to make the scent more pleasant and long-lasting. Also, I was hoping you could try out the fragrance before I officially release it and tell me your thoughts.
Of course! A good sense of taste and sense of smell go hand in hand, you know? Oh, it smells great!
It's alright. All feedback is besides. When it comes to perfume, commenting on whether—
Right! Do those flowers have some special meaning? Hearing their names seemed to—
if I had to guess—
The language of flowers? Oh, we've heard of that before! Paimon
what each flower is said to represent varies by person and across different moments. After returning to Fontaine, I did some research, and it turns out the meanings of those 3 flowers can be forget the past and keep on living. Perhaps that's the legacy Yelena always intended, not the nobility and grandeur.
You think Kiria knew about that?
I paid him a visit before his trial and explained what I found, but he didn't seem to care. Who knows? Maybe she didn't mean anything by it at all. Yelena is gone. We'll never know what she was thinking. We can look for meaning all we want, but it'll never be— Even if that is what she was trying to say, I would never be able to forget her. Avenging her death? That was the meaning I chose for my— Kiria cultivated his revenge like a flower. He was committed to making it bloom, even if, in any case, he did want me to pass along his thanks. Thank you for saving my life. For giving me the chance to learn that a ghost, love and hatred are a privilege of the living. When someone dies, their thoughts, feelings, and intentions die. But even if it's only a conjecture, the meaning we give to flowers, the symbolism we assign to our perfume, and yet at the very outset, they're born from the simplest and most beautiful—
The key ingredient in fine dining.
What did you want exactly?
Forget about me. This is about winning.